but there are some things that even war can't change." She matched his expression. "Your favorite lieutenant, for example. Deacon still underestimates me. He treats me like I don't think about all the things that could go wrong. It's annoying." "It's his job." Gideon shifted to face her on the bench. The firelight gilded one side of his face and left the rest in shadows, and somehow it made him look stern, distant. "I put Deacon in charge of the Eden outreach operation. Do you know what that means?" "That he's the boss?" "That he speaks in my name. That I trust him to represent my sector and my ideals, to protect my people the way I would." Gideon reached for her wrist and turned it over, revealing the 2 barcodes tattooed on the inside, her identification code over her pulse, and the higher one that had granted her special clearance. "Maricela has already declared you family, and that would be all the reason Deacon needs to wrap you in cotton. But you're an invaluable resource, Kora. You're going to have to become accustomed to being protected." Become accustomed to it? Her whole life had been a never-ending chain of protective custody. Even as a child, her father had rarely let her out of his sight, and she'd spent hours studying at her small desk in the corner of his office. Her medical training had been overseen by the city, and Eden always protected its investments. Then, when she'd gone to work as a doctor on the base, guards, the one constant in her life, whether they were clad in fatigues, military police black, or expensive leather and tattoos. "Don't worry." She tugged her wrist free of his grasp. "I won't make any trouble for Deacon." Gideon released her without complaint, but his sudden grin shattered the illusion of the serious, stern leader. "Don't go making any extravagant promises, Kora. Traditionally, my sisters excel at making trouble for Deacon." "If it happens that often, maybe it's his problem, not theirs." She hesitated, then corrected herself. "Not ours." "That's right." He patted her leg and turned back to the fire. "That's one thing my grandfather got right, even if he didn't always practice what he preached. In a world like ours, everyone needs family." "Even if it's one we have to make ourselves," she agreed. Deacon approached them, a drink in each hand, though he offered them neither. "Are you talking about the clinic for the city refugees?" "It came up." Gideon reached out and snagged the beer from Deacon's left hand. "Are you satisfied with the security detail?" Deacon grunted. "Am I ever? But we've done all we can. Your assigned guard will just have to handle whatever comes up." "If anything comes up," Kora stressed. He just stared at her. Idly, she wondered if Deacon didn't like the situation, or if he didn't like her. The likeliest answer was a combination of the two. He undoubtedly had better things for his men to do than babysit her, but he'd do it anyway, because Gideon had asked. She'd known men like Deacon, soldiers whose dedication ran deeper than their current orders. Whether they pledged themselves to a cause or simply to the mission at hand, they let nothing stand in their way, not even headstrong doctors. Kora smiled despite the bolt of pain that shot through her. Yes, she'd known men like Deacon before, and at least one of them had died because of her. The tense silence shattered when Zeke appeared and threw an arm around Deacon's shoulders. The younger rider was just as tall as Deacon, but his hair was spiky and blonde rather than dark, and he wore a teasing smile instead of a glower. "You guys better not be discussing work." "What else?" Kora rose and held out her hand. "I hope you've come to save me. I make an excellent damsel in distress." "Damsels in distress happen to be my specialty." Zeke slapped Deacon on the back and claimed Kora's hand, but he still paused to look at Gideon. "Boss." "Zeke?" Gideon inclined his head. "Go enjoy the celebrations." Kora followed Zeke closer to the bonfire. "You missed all the fun. I was just irritating Deacon." "Everything irritates Deacon." Zeke spun her in a dizzy circle before pulling her close enough to dance. "Only mildly, though. Mildly irritated is his default state." "No, it's not him." Something about Zeke's easy manner invited confessions. "He reminds me of someone I used to know." "What, like one of the MPs?" "Sort of. A soldier. Most of the riders had been born in Sector 1, but Zeke was like her, someone who'd grown up inside Eden's shining walls. The barcode marking him as a city citizen was long gone, but she'd seen his lengthy criminal record, one he'd earned hacking Eden's system to redistribute credits to the citizens who couldn't afford to eat. So she wasn't too surprised when the next thing out of his mouth was a name most people wouldn't have known existed. Ashwin Malhotra? He didn't need her confirmation, so she focused on the ribbed collar of his gray t-shirt instead of it.